What's up, guys? Nii-san here, and welcome back to another stream. Yeah, sorry that I was, 2 minutes late to this, so I was just eating a snack real quick before the stream, and I didn't realize it was 5. So, yeah, initially I was gonna stream this at 6 o'clock, but I have, a lot to do today, so I thought, streaming it at 5 would be a lot better, yeah. Anyways, shall we get started with my OffKai experience? Let me know if whenever you all are ready, because boy do I have quite the stories to share this year. Both what happened during OffKai and what happened outside of OffKai. It was a lot of fun. I will just say that right off the bat. OffKai was amazing once again, and I am ready to go back next year, which I am already making plans to go back again next year. But yeah, OffKai was it was a lot of fun, man. Make sure my chat is up. Can someone say something in the chat to just make sure it's up? Sure, go ahead. Invisible driver kidnapped you. Oh, yeah, yep, we're gonna talk about that. We are for sure gonna talk about that. But first, hold on. But, okay, so this was my first time, flying out of the country, well, out of state, all by myself. I've driven out of state by myself. I did that for Phantom Thieves Revenge. Well, no, not by myself. That was more with a friend. So that was the first time I traveled out of state without family. But this was the first time I was going across the country pretty much without anybody. I was doing it all on my own. So I wake up at like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Went to bed at 6 the night before, because my flight was at like 6 in the morning. But I wake up, I wake up pretty early in the morning at 5, and it was like 6 in the morning. Sorry, no, 3 in the morning. I was trying to get stimulated as fuck. So my friend who took me to the airport, he got me stimulated as fuck by playing really loud music. And nobody was really out, so it was fine. But, okay. I get there, I get McDonald's, because I didn't know baggage claim wasn't opened, or the place you put the bag at. You know what I'm talking about. Like, there's a area in the airport where I put my bag on, and there was a 24-hour McDonald's that was opened inside the airport. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. We ball. I'm getting some food. That ended up being kind of a bad decision to get a cheeseburger and fries for breakfast, but because, like, it didn't sit right with me earlier, like, later on. But, hey, we were all good, fam. We were all good. And so, it was about time to board my plane, and I landed in Texas, and my flight got delayed by an hour, so what did I do? Oh, wait, oh. Okay, hello? Is this better? Please tell me this is better. I don't know why, my mic's not... Hang on. I probably need to get a new mic or something. I think this one's starting to wear out. Okay, perfect. So basically, just to recap what I was saying, I wake up at 3 in the morning. Sorry, no, like 1, 2 in the morning, and I get ready to go to the airport. I was the only one inside my house that was actually, awake. And then I get McDonald's, because there's a 24-hour McDonald's at the airport, because baggage claim wasn't open. And then I just eat there for an hour, and then I go back to baggage claim. And yeah. So after that, I hop on my plane. The Donkey Kong Direct was happening the same day as my flight. And so it premiered, the day of, like right when I landed in Texas. I'm like, oh shit, it's on. So I watched it there, because I had like an hour, like, layover or whatever. But on the plane, I was watching Hunter x Hunter, and that was really good. That was really good what I was watching. But anyway, yeah, I did all that shit, and, well, I hop on the next plane, and then I land in California. I'm there. I have trouble getting around the airport. And then my buddy was there waiting for me, helping me out with my luggage and stuff. And he had a hotel for the night. I got in California, I want to say around 11 in the morning. I wanted to get... The reason why I chose a 6 a.m. flight was because, one, it was cheaper, and two, I wanted a lot of time to spend in California before the convention. And that ended up being, you know, a good idea. Ended up being a good thing to do. So basically, after that, we were just walking around San Jose, and I get the bright idea, hey, why not we go to the Nintendo store? But before we did that, we went to the Boba Bar they had. I'm sure if you know what the Boba Bar... They had a Boba Bar 6 minutes away from the convention, and there was a VTuber event going on there. And that was a lot of fun to go there and buy merch there. I was already getting a head start on my OffKai adventure. And so we take the train over to San Francisco, and we met up with another guy there who was cool, and we went to the Nintendo store, and I bought a Splatoon plush there, and that was fun. Just walking around the Nintendo store. It was kind of small though, and there was quite a few people, I will say, in California, like, were both there for the convention and not there for the convention, that knew who I was. Well, mostly there for the convention, but, you know, a lot of people that were there knew who I was, and I was utterly shocked. Utterly, utterly shocked. And so, you know, we go to In-N-Out Burger for, well, the invisible driver kidnapped us. We got into an invisible car, and he picked us up. The guy picked us up, and we got kidnapped and taken to In-N-Out Burger. And yeah, In-N-Out Burger was good, but it was fucking expensive again. Those who remember last year's story know how much I complained about $12 In-N-Out. It was $14 this time. $14 for In-N-Out. For a burger and fries and a drink. Fucking hell. Whew. Now that I've complained about that, where was I next? Oh yeah, we just walked around the Bay Area, really. Just chilled, had fun. And so, I was getting tired, so it was time to go back to the hotel. And, you know, we did just that. And then the next morning, I get a head start. I wake up early and go grab breakfast down in our hotel. And then I have a friend who works for OffKai Expo, and I was trying to find him, like, inside the con center, like, the day before. I was trying to look for him. What I mean is, like, we were camping outside the convention center, hoping that he'd show up, and we were sending people in there to see if he was there. I also ran into a Face Connect staff member outside, and I thought that was cool. And yeah, OffKai, like, a lot of the day though was spent hanging out at the Boba Bar in the midday, and a lot of my friends showed up and we met up, and yeah, it was fun. We all had a great time there, and then we all walked back together, waiting outside the convention center before we could go pick up our badges. And we did that. But then then later on in the night, I had dinner with a bunch of VTuber fans, and that was fun as fuck. I've never had that much fun at dinner before. We went to BJ's Brewhouse. I got us a reservation a couple weeks before, because I knew I'd be showing up with a big party. So, you know, we made a reservation, and yeah, that was that. They all showed up, and we had a blast there, all of us. You know, I was almost late to the reservation. But that's because, like, my ride didn't show up in time, and so they just... Another one of the guys pulled up in a vehicle and just was like, okay, alright, pick us up. And so, yeah, that's what happened. More people showed up to the dinner than anticipated, which I was a little worried about, considering I, didn't know whether or not they'd allow that many people to show. And, well, they did. We surprisingly got away with it, because we had, a really big party already. And they sat us down at a long table. And, yeah. So after dinner, it was I kind of just chilled in the hotel room for the night, and I met up with my other roommates who I hadn't seen that day yet. And yeah, that was day 0 and day -1 of OffKai Expo. Yeah. So, what about the convention itself? What happened there? Hang on, give me 1 second. Alright, so, OffKai Expo. So, day 1 of OffKai, I didn't really go to any panels, to be completely honest. I just was there. That day was basically a meet and greet day for me, and every VTuber I had met there remembered me from last year in some way. Pretty much, that can be said for every meet and greet I did there. And yeah, I adored it. It was awesome. My Oshi even said that she remembered me from last year, which I don't talk about other VTubers on here, and I don't usually do that or talk about who my Oshi is. But if you know me really, really well, you'd know exactly who my Oshi is. So we'll just leave it like that. I don't really like talking about other VTubers on here, just because I just think it's a little, I don't know, to me, anyway, I know everybody has different opinions on this, and no shame to VTubers who do talk about other VTubers. I don't normally do that, just in general, just because, I feel like it's not needed. That's just me, though. It's fine if other VTubers do it. Again, no shame to them. But for me, it's just my personal policy that I just don't bring up other VTubers on stream usually. There's other obvious exceptions to that, like when I talked about Phantom Thief's Revenge, because I wanted to do a stream about my experience there, and that was a fun time. But anyway, enough rambling about that. Yeah, Friday was just a meet and greet day for the most part, and me just buying out merch. Do you think it feels invasive? I don't know if invasive is the right word. Because, invasive more so implies invasion of privacy, or breach of privacy, or security, or maybe to some that word feels like stalking. So I don't think invasive is the right word. Because, that would imply other VTubers are invasive when they talk about other VTubers. But me, I just don't. Because you never know. You could say the wrong thing, and it'll piss somebody off. So that's why I don't usually talk about other VTubers. If that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense here. If I'm collabing with another VTuber, sure, I'll talk about them all I want, if I'm collabing with them at the same time. But just in general, my personal policy is that, no, I do not talk about other VTubers. If that makes sense. Like I said, I hope I'm making sense, but yeah. Friday was basically just a meet and greet day. Oh, and if you know who my Oshi is, please do not drop it in the chat. Again, it will get removed if you drop her name in the chat. But yes. So, let's continue. So, on that day, on Friday, I also went down to the boba bar again and met up with a friend of mine. Okay, wait. Let me read this. Like, for example, you might accidentally spread information of... Okay, I don't know if that's a real VTuber, so I won't say that. Okay, this is a fake name. Gotcha. For example, misinformation of one Joestar VTuber sucks the toes of a middle-aged man and it pisses fans off and him up. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, I could say something that'll piss someone off. And it's just, in my opinion, better to not do it. But to VTubers who do, again, if you're watching, no shame to you at all. I also think it's fine if you're in a company, like, and you're talking about your gen mates. I think that's fine. Something like that would be, like, again, it's not up to me to decide what's okay and what's not. Every VTuber is their own person at the end of the day. And yeah, they decide what they get to do. So, enough about that. Friday, I went down to the boba bar again, and I met up with a friend of mine who is a manager, a VTuber manager, and now CEO of a company who I won't share on here. I do not want people stalking them or going to message them or anything, but yeah, we'll just leave it there. I met her, and she remembered me from last year. You know, we communicated a lot on Discord after OffKai last year. So, and we still do. And she remembered my face immediately when I walked into that bar. In fact, she pushed me out of the boba bar. I won't say why, because it's kind of an inside joke between us why she did. But it was playful. It was funny. It's the best way I can say it. So don't worry, she didn't do it badly. She was just like, alright, go show that to the people outside. That's not my job this time. You know, as a joke. Okay. Anyway. So, that was kind of most of day one. I was just like, I will say again, the venue for the convention this year was really, really nice. It was better than last year's venue, because last year's venue had a lot of technical issues. And so, yeah, that was great. Anyway, so basically, after that, it's Saturday. Saturday was a big day, but I was dying of hunger on Saturday and Sunday, because I'm going to be so honest with you, chat. So honest. I starved myself a lot of the convention. Yeah, I barely ate. I know, I'm supposed to follow the 6-2-1 rule. 6 hours of sleep, 1 shower, and 2 meals a day. I forgot the 2 meals part a lot during the convention. And so, Saturday night was fun. It was a fun day. I went to a couple more panels that day, but there was a concert. That night was also OffKai Live. I went to a panel in the morning, and then I went to, what was it? There was another concert that day that I went to that was really, really cool. It was really fun. It was short, but it was a fun concert, and I had my pen lights. I was all energized for it, and everything. I was ready for it. You know, I did a lot of shopping that day. Oh god, I remember the minute I walked into the convention on Friday, I forgot to say, I blew like $100 immediately on merch. I am financially irresponsible. But Saturday, though, I went around, met a couple more people, and I also, you know, here's, like, probably the biggest standout moment for me during the convention. I met my Oshi's manager, and when I asked her, like, hey, because, like, I've spoken to her on Discord a bit, not enough, you know, to call us friends or anything. I can't call us friends, because, like, I don't even have her friended on Discord. I've just DM'd her about business stuff, and just general questions. regarding events my Oshi would be at. And so, I ran into her completely by accident, that manager. Ran into her completely. And yes, Oshi does mean favorite VTuber. That's basically kind of what it means. And then there's Kami Oshi, where, if you could have multiple Oshis, then Kami Oshi is the one that stands out among the rest. So I guess you could say this VTuber is my Kami Oshi, because I have multiple Oshis. But anyways, I met the manager of her, and, I just asked, I was just like, wait, I know who you are. And, in my mind, I get really excited. And I asked her, hey, do you know who I am? And then she said, you're Liam, right? My face lit up. And she was like, yeah, you watch a lot of, insert talent's name here, stuff, right? Because, she manages a lot of people, but I shook her hand. I shook her hand. And that moment pretty much defined the entire convention for me. I was so happy because of that moment. I felt so proud. It made me think, wow, I made it. That's just what I thought in my head. Because, I said this last year, but last year I got so much attention at the convention from the crazy shit I did without even trying. That's just what I think. Not to sound cocky or anything. Because, yeah, I was giving gifts to people I've looked up to in the VTuber industry as well. And, yeah, I shook her hand. And that moment was amazing. And then, later in the night, that day, I was running all over the place meeting people. Just everywhere. And so, after that, it was time for OffKai Live. And I made sure to stand up in the crowd, and I went crazy during OffKai Live. It was an amazing show. They got... I'm gonna break my rule here for a minute on not mentioning other VTubers, but I feel like I have to congratulate the OffKai team. Props to you for getting Kizuna Ai, and not the new one, the original Kizuna Ai, to come to this concert, and her first appearance in America. That is a big deal that people in the community understand. That is a big deal. They got her, and I was ecstatic to see her. I don't watch Kizuna Ai or anything. I haven't kept up with recent stuff. But, that is big. And I knew I had to be there for that. And so I went there. It was a shock to the system that they got Kizuna Ai, the Kizuna Ai, to perform. It put a smile on my face. And that was pretty much the end of Saturday. After that, it was time for bed, really. And so, now we're on to the last day, which this day got emotional for me, because, one of my Oshis is graduating soon. If you know, you know. They're actually, graduating today, so I'll leave it up to that. I'll leave it up to you to figure it out. Just don't go say it in the comments. But one of my Oshis is graduating today, and I met her again for the last time, and she knows who I am. She knows me, and so, with no shame to admit, I ran to the bathroom and cried after meeting her for what I knew was going to be the last time, because it meant a lot to me. But I also met my Kami Oshi again that day, and she was like, geez, man, save some meet and greets for the rest of us. And, I got roasted by her, and that was funny. But also, I went to her panel that day, and I got to ask a question, because her panel was about being an agency VTuber as opposed to indie, because she's been on both sides of that now. But, yeah. That was fun. That panel was fun. Sunday was a fun day. I also went to the Maid Cafe on Sunday, and that was a lot of fun, too. But Sunday, after the con ended, we didn't really have much to do. My stomach was hurting a lot, but, you know, me and a bunch of others, like, what do you mean by graduating? I know I sound a little bit fraud/fake fan, but I'm just curious. Like, they're not going to be using that persona anymore. I mean, graduation is a term that varies in the VTuber community, but it just means they won't be streaming under that name anymore, under that model anymore, usually. And sometimes they go to different models and names, but typically that's what it means. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it just basically means that. Anyway, so after that, me and my buddies, we went out to go see Elio in the theater, the new Pixar movie, which was a really, 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 really good movie, by the way. I loved it. And my only problem with the movie was that the conflict resolution. I'm watching it again tomorrow, actually, with my dad, because I loved it that much. And but the story here is we were almost late to the movie again. No. I know what y'all are thinking. No. I did not ask the Uber driver to run red lights again. That did not happen this time. Anyway, so basically, we were dead set on going to one theater and it wasn't selling out at all, but then, like, to my shock, it, like, was almost sold out, and so we had to just go to a different theater. And so we did just that. We had to change the theater on the drop of a hat. And luckily we made it. We were banking on trailers being our saving grace, and they were. I'm happy trailers were still playing by the time we got there. And it was, yeah, like, I fucked up, and I got shit for it, and they were like, you are not handling logistics again. I'm like, I know. Because I failed the last 2 times, but hey, 3rd time's the charm, right? Next time, we're going to plan it better, which I thought we planned it perfectly this time. It's just something happened that was out of our control. And, yeah. So, we went to go watch Elio, and it was a fun time. We all laughed about it at the end. And, ooh. Oh, because I would be sad, admittedly, if Mayoshi was probably the only big VTuber I watched. Plus, I remember being, okay. Yeah. I get that feeling. It's okay. Every VTuber fan goes through it eventually, unfortunately. I've went through it a couple times now. But I will say none of them were nearly as sad as this one is going to be. But anyway, yeah, my poor planning. We were about to board a bus, but then, like, we had to, like, someone came in clutch and got us an Uber immediately. We were already almost late to the meetup spot. But yeah, we made it to the movie, and it was a fun watch, all of us. We were all gassing it up. We were all having a lot of fun in the theater. There's barely anybody in there. And I hope we weren't a nuisance to everybody. If you were in my screening for Elio, I apologize if we were a nuisance, but we had a lot of fun watching it. And it was a really, really good movie. I have our reactions to the credit scenes of the film. But, anyway. Yeah, we walk out. We were all laughing about, you know, the way the conflict was resolved in the movie, which I won't spoil. But we were all just laughing about that. And, yeah, we got back to the convention center. And there was a little mini concert going on in front of the convention center with VTubers. And so we got there, we drank some alcohol, and then we all just went our separate ways. We all walked back to our hotels. We all just talked about the movie and such. But, yeah. That was my OffKai 2025 experience. I got home that night, late at night. Later than intended, by the way. I had a long layover in Texas. And they fucking charged me. Like, I was hungry as shit. And they fucking charged me $30 for a burger, fries, and a drink. $30! Ugh! Yeah, so that was my OffKai 2025 experience. If you are planning to go to OffKai 2026 next year, don't be shy. Come up and say hello. I will be there again. It was fun. A really, really fun experience. I cannot wait to go back next year and just do it all again. I promise Trap Team streams will be coming back. I got my thing fixed now. I got, the Elgato fixed, so Mario Kart World will be coming too, and Donkey Kong. I will be streaming Donkey Kong for sure when that time comes. And I am excited to stream Donkey Kong. Just give me a second here. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow. We'll see. We're just gonna see. And yeah. That's really it for today's stream. Hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next stream. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.